Four, three, two, one, and we're live. Welcome back. Speak Up Monday, every Monday here at Tropical Nomad. Studio audience, can I get a hell yeah? Oh, I didn't even have to ask again. You're so much better than the audience from last week. They were shockers. All right, so welcome to Speak Up Monday. So as you know, Speak Up Monday is an award-winning talk show. And we focus, number one, for entrepreneurs and social impact. So tonight, my guest, my brother Harold, definitely from a different mother, but same father. Welcome to the show.
Good to see you today. How are you doing, mate?
Doing really well. Thank you very much indeed. So Harold is the founder of a company called All Solar World, and we're going to dig deep into what that is. But really is, as you know, those who know me, I'm Robert Ian Bonnick, the tourism architect, and what I love to do is work on projects and initiatives that bring people, resources together on projects that inspire, that bring together and uplift and support humanity. So tonight, little does he know, Harold, you are one of those people who inspires me and is inspiring a lot of other people as well.
What did I do wrong to you? Can I ask that question to you? Why you want to get me on this chair? Anyway, no, thank you very much. Yeah.
Very welcome, brother.
Super happy to be here and talk about life, what we are doing, and what we try to achieve with our beautiful company.
Yeah, you know, the interesting part, and one of the things which I really like about you is that you're a man who, you know, is very thorough, right? So the word thorough comes to mind. And as we were saying before we kind of met, you not that you were stalking me, but you've watched a couple of years of Speak Up Mondays to get a good idea about the kind of person I am, and maybe you were thinking ahead, thinking, well, one day I'm probably going to be in this seat, so I should work out who this guy is.
I did it pretty quick, right? In a few weeks.
You did very well, actually. You did very well.
Because we just know each other for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. No, okay, I'm lying a little bit.
A little bit more.
A few months.
2 or 3 months, I think.
Yeah, 2 or 3 months. Yeah, exactly.
You know, so look, let's start this off. So, as I mentioned before, you know, you strike me as a man that has standards, right? And we'll get to that later on in the show. But probably the first question would be, you know, like if I asked you, so Harold, if you're a guy with standards, which I believe to be true, like where do you think that came from? Like what maybe elements of your childhood gave you that standard?
Those questions are, as you know, they're always very complicated, but I think that's a part of being grow up. The first of all, my parents. I'm very thankful my parents are still alive back in the Netherlands. Currently 80 and 83 in good health, so I'm very proud on that. Then the other side, I think it is, you know, my parents let me free to do what I ever want to do. Back in school, I was ready to go to a gymnasium. I didn't do. I went to a technical school, as I did. Growing up on the street where we, let's say, street smart, where you get standards of life, man to man, word to word. And that is part of the childhood I grow up with.
Got it, brother. Yeah, and that man to man, word to word, I think that for those of you who know Harold, sums him up really, really well. Itchy. If I get the guys to switch off the fan over here in front. So next question. So maybe people here are wondering, you know, so All Solar World, you know, this patented technology that I've been talking about for a while now. So if you could describe for us, number one, what it is and what purpose does it solve?
Well, I think that we need to start in the beginning of the company and where we started 10 years ago in Hong Kong. By coincidence, via a friend in Hong Kong, I came in touch with a Dutch-owned factory in China. Came up with the idea, or they were manufacturing of LED bulbs, batteries, electronical equipment. And together we get an idea like, let's create a solar home system. You know, that takes time. It's not an idea what comes up in a second. But as we Dutch people, we like quality. So start doing a lot of investigation, finding out approximately back in the days, 2.4 billion people around the world have no electricity or poor access to electricity. So we developed a solar home kit. 2 LED bulbs, battery, solar panel. and made it the highest quality. Well, then you come to a point where you have a product, but then how to bring the product to the market. So we're getting involved in Lighting Global, what currently is Ferrosol. Lighting Global is a program from the World Bank IFC, and we started to applicate in that program by the end of 2013. All Solar Lights Hong Kong, where we choose the brand All Solar World, is started September 2014 in Hong Kong. And finally, after 2.5 years, that was March 2016, where we approved. To give you an idea, the Lighting Global program runs since 2008, so that's 14 years. And we are just one of the 69 companies approved in the program. So I think you can guess what kind of quality of product we developed.
And as I remember rightly, you're the only private company there as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, that's a different story. So we go to another part of the company, and that have to do with pay-as-you-go system. So pay-as-you-go system is where people get the product and they pay in monthly installments. If you want to do it, that's all done by companies by themselves, where end consumers pay 30 to 50% interest rates. Well, we're coming from a world where in our 10-12% on a private loan, for example, some impact banks at the moment is low here in Indonesia to 8%. But yeah, there was a fantastic Bloomberg article about where people still, farmers in Tanzania, pay the product now for 8 years. Product stop working after 1, 2 years or 3 years, and they're still paying and they don't have anything. And that's one of the things where we stay away from. So back in the days, we had an FOB business model, what means we finding local distributors in the country, where we did some big deals in Ethiopia, 50,000 units, so that's pretty good. But then pay as you go, because people, we target for the basic at $135 US. What most of the people in the rural areas is low income people cannot afford the product.
Got it.
So what we developed over the last couple of years, that was an idea when I went with my wife on the first holidays to Bali, is in the airplane I bought a Wi-Fi dongle. For most people know GlocalMe, it's a dongle from uCloudlink. And I came back to Hong Kong, what can I do with this? Can I build this in our Somal kit so people connect to the internet? But if you connect people to the internet, you can make them bankable. So that is where the whole story started about what we're currently doing.
Got it. And so now, getting a little bit technical, so you integrate, right? So this Wi-Fi into the solar home system. And so what does that allow people in rural areas or remote communities, just so people get it, what does it allow them to now do?
Now, so what we try to achieve is the first thing, currently we're building, we're going to call that a digital transaction platform, where we can connect people and give them access to finance. So make them bankable, but if people once have access to electricity and internet, the world will open. There is a lot of programs, especially for farmers, going on, where they give people in the rural areas a smartphone. But what are you going to do with the smartphone if you have no electricity? So, and that is why we connect people, give them electricity, connect them to the internet, make them bankable. Currently, we're talking to some e-banks who are interested to finance the product to the end consumer. And that keeps us also a private company without the need of big fundings to pre-finance everything.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, and just sitting here looking at a dear friend, Natalia, we had a meeting, yesterday, and this meeting is about the future, right? Which is about building remote communities. I mean, that one was more about building sovereign remote communities, but let's just say remote communities. And as you mentioned before, a lot of these, I think there's 50 million in Indonesia which are not connected people. So and a lot of these guys have been beneath the radar, right? And they are crying out access to edutech, fintech, as you mentioned, climate tech, commtech. A few weeks ago we had on the show another dear friend who should be here at some point, Wayne, who created Biomia, the first or the largest marketplace for Indonesia, right? So they want to be able to do this business and so on. So I guess the question is that, like what makes, All Solar World unique in this space?
As far as we know, I think it's good to know that that we are certified by the Lighting Global Ferrosol program. As far as we know, I said we are the first World Bank approved company start operations in Indonesia. What warranties or guarantees that the end consumer is getting a quality product. Then we give them a fair trade loan that they can access the product. And then the next step will be, like what you said by yourself, we give them access to the world. They can go to online programs like Buy Me Now last week. So people can buy online, but then they can start their own businesses. They get access to education. We talking currently to some companies who developing education program are very interesting to work with us because we give people a light in their life. We connect them to the internet. We make them bankable, and then, but also education, medical care. Well, the world open for them, right?
And the next question that comes up, in a way, goes to the heart of you that I know already, right? But these people here don't. Most of them, well, actually, I lie. A lot of them know you, so they probably know it already. But it's okay to hear it again. So. Oh. Here it comes, like a sledgehammer. Oh. So, I mean, how long has this journey taken you? Because, I know you mentioned that it was 3 years to be approved or around that for the World Bank, but when did you start this? Because it's been a number of years that you've been doing this yourself, right?
Yes,
Tell us about it.
Yeah. Now, with the whole project started, like what I said before, it's over 10 years, 2011. Yeah. From product development to get World Bank approved. Again, we are now 11 years more, and we're still here, we're still surviving. But I think the most important thing is that, again, we are not an NGO, we're a profitable company. But one of the keys is never give up and being straight to the point. And that's what we see happening in the program. It's all money-based, and that's what we just don't like. It was not an easy journey. That is very simple. COVID came, 100% business down. We left Hong Kong in September 2019 with the plan to move to Singapore to set up the fintech part of our company, what we're currently doing. Then COVID came. Me and my wife and my beautiful daughter came for a 2-3 week holiday in April 2020, and we're still here. And I met fantastic people all over the place. Start following you from day one. And again, here we are. Also proud to announce that since last Saturday, All Solar World Indonesia is operational. Yeah. Another beautiful thing is that fantastic Robert, my brother from another mother, is one of our partners.
Same father?
Don't tell my mother. And where is our other fantastic partner, Itzy Yamada?
Oh, he'll be joining us soon.
There he is. Come on.
He'll be joining us soon. It's okay for now. So we've got to
I cannot get rid of this mic.
I know.
Robert, come on.
Here's the thing, right? So like Harold is a guy who doesn't do that many interviews, right? Not because he can't.
Not many. It's my first ever in the world.
Round of applause, the first ever. Right. So it's funny because I use the word wisely, by the way. It's funny because some people find it easy to talk on camera and so on and so on and so on. And being that I'm a speaker, a coach, an author, and all of that stuff that you may or may not know. It is different, right? So when you're up here and it's just you.
It's horrible.
And there's lights on you, right?
He should teach me. He should educate me. He should prepare me. Didn't show up in 2 meetings last week. Should he be 5:30 to do some preparation? Sorry, mate, I'm late. Okay. Well, here we are. thanks, brother. Well, that's, what I always say, yeah?
So
Your partners always help you, so...
always. Here's a funny thing. I use that word twice already, but it's true. Each time it is funny. See, certain people, they carry with them like a weight, right? This weight of, with you, it's this weight of standards, this weight of transparency that pervades the questions that I ask you. Is who you are actually, and it's what people see. And but it's also being, the word isn't confident. The word is like comfortable in the fact that when you sit down in front of a camera, whether it's one person or 100 people, all you need to be is just to be yourself. And whatever comes across is exactly what it's supposed to. And people either gel or bond with it, or they don't. And the ones that don't, you don't need. The ones who do, they're the people you go forward with. So it's so, mate. I just want to firstly pat you on the back for showing up. Even though he was trying to get out of it.
You will steer.
He was trying to get out of it for like a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 weeks. But you made it.
I did it, yeah.
You know, you made it.
Thank you, guys.
I love it. See, all friends here. So now, question.
It's my support. I've paid them.
Don't
tell anyone.
Handsomely. So here's the thing, right? So it's taken all these years to get to where you are, to get the product to where you are, privately funded all the way through. Now, in those moments, right, which are harsh moments, and you said before, don't give up. Now, I think everybody here has probably heard that before. Don't give up, right? And maybe some of us have heeded those words and we haven't given up, we've kept on going. Maybe other of us have given up temporarily and come back to it. So then my question to you is, during those times of not giving up, but what was it within you that didn't give up, and what of that could you pass on to other people?
Well, I think if you make a decision in your life and you know where to go. I always say right is wrong, right is right, wrong is wrong. If you believe in yourself and just follow the path. And my path is pretty straight. I'm not going around in circles what most people do. If you believe in yourself, I know where the hurdles are. Like what I said before, we had an FOB business model, what worked, but not worked the way out like what we want. Getting the experience, going to rural areas in Tanzania, for example, testing products, where people say, oh, it doesn't work. Well, the product what we are using is a patent SIM cloud technology. What I want to say with that is, like, for example, giving that up, is you need to create a product. If you improve the product all the time and you make step forwards, sure, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, that's normal, but that's doing business. That is part of growing up the business. And again, if you move forward, improve, develop, that's part of not giving up. And finding the right people around you. Most people, I know some people watching online, my business partner from all over the world, I need to say. They're from Europe to Hong Kong, Singapore, here in Indonesia. They know me very well. And because I'm very straightforward, it gives also issues, because a lot of people want to go like this. Well, and that's where I'm talking about, that gives you steps back. But if you believe as a founder in what you are doing, you cannot find the right partners in one day. And the company, especially in what we are doing, you need to have a good team around you. From engineers, for example, I worked for 11 years with the same engineer in China, which is very unique. But we are family. Like, we're getting brothers from another mother. He's a guy in China from Taiwan, and we're working for 11 years. I came up with the products. I said, can you integrate it in the battery pack? He said, what are you asking? What do you want to do? And I explained him. And that takes time. Developing this, developing the relationship. We did a big press release two months ago with uCloudLink. Why they want to be involved in what we are doing? Because we're doing it for a good purpose. Sure, we need to make money at the end of the day, but I always say, keep straightforward. And that's probably what I can say to more founders as well. Believe in yourself. you also believe in yourself. That's why we're sitting here, episode 295, right?
That's right.
How the fuck you did that? Oh. Sorry.
I told him before.
Well, I'm Dutch.
I said before, look, just for you, he goes, all the way. I said, maybe not all the way. No one heard that swear word. I never heard it. I never heard a word.
Can I have a beer, please?
Yeah, there you go. So here, and this is the last question in this area, then we'll move on. So to give people an understanding, right, of some of the challenges that you faced. You know, maybe one of the stories to let people know about is the one in Africa. You know, I think one of the stories told me was from Africa about what happened there when everything was set up, but then things didn't necessarily run to plan. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I think that's an interesting story. You know, you think you are approved in the Lighting Global and what I said currently Virasol program. You think you are there, but then the game just starts. Because then you need to start working, like then the game starts. Then you need to find your local distributors. And I need to say the program is fantastic. I cannot say because they give a support, like one of the key points. And that is something what I hope that happen in Indonesia as well. You know, that as approved quality product, getting easier feet underground. And here we come to the stories about, you know, stories in Africa, for example. What they do is they convince governments to get rid of counterfeit products. So the fake products, poor quality products. And that is what I figured out what happened also in Indonesia. You know, if you go around in Kintamani, you see a lot of solar panels on houses. But what happened there, it's a poor quality. And it's about education. But then, again, having operations underground is a game changer. For us as company, the experience in Africa to sell just a product, like what we started and what we did, you have met so many issues to deal with. Political issues, payment issues, find the right distributor. So yeah, it is not an easy job to get done, and that is one of the key points why we do the pilot program in one of the most complicated countries to work in Indonesia. But I think, you know, we have the advantage to be an approved company, so people know they get a quality product. We give a 2-year warranty on the product. Having uCloud Link as our Wi-Fi provider behind us, that's key, because it connects automatically to the strongest signal available. So I think from the experience where I've been through in the whole story in Africa, like import, financial problems, wrong distributors, it's lesson learned. But again, never give up. And here we are.
Got it, brother. Got it.
If I gave up 2 years ago, for example, when COVID started, I was not sitting here next to you.
That's right. Yeah, that's right, brother.
But then, what are you going to do else?
This is true. I love if you guys got it. So what we're going to do, right, in about 4 or 5 minutes is ask questions, because I could talk to him and we could laugh like for hours on end, but I want everyone here to get value. Right? So if you have questions, we're going to get a third mic pretty soon. And then at that stage, feel free to ask a question. So this session will be filmed. And then after we finish this, which is probably 20 minutes or so, then we'll have some private questions which will not be filmed. If you prefer not to be filmed, just put that one out there. So that will come in about 5 or 10 minutes or so.
Can you turn off the camera, please?
We're not turning off the camera yet, brother. we got a little way to go. So look, I think Itchy, in about 2 or 3 minutes, feel free to come and join us. So maybe, like, again, I can ask questions for you all day, but I'm just trying to find the questions that will be interesting for people to kind of pick up with. So here's one thing, because there's a few people here who are doing massive projects, right? I mentioned one of them already. And so one thing that we were discussing was that actually there's some help there that you can also get from your embassy, right? So can you tell us that story? 'Cause I'm sure people don't necessarily realize that that is available to them as well.
Well, yeah, okay. That is a different story. That happened by coincidence, because if you want to get access to government help, you need to have a local company on the ground. As we just started up our PTPMA here in Indonesia. So yeah, what they provide is help and connect. Help and connect, help in connect with finance, help in connect technical parts. So we just started the connection with our Dutch embassy. So hopefully, well, tomorrow I have a meeting with them. So let's see how that goes. But we are also in touch with Asian Development Bank. We are in touch with NBSO, Netherlands Business Support Office. But I think also another thing about get that done is the important thing about internet. I had a lot of chats with Brother Itzy. That's why we are also very happy to have Brother Itzy involved in the company. And yeah, I think Itzy can more tell about the Internet of Things what we're working on for Indonesia.
So I think that's a great segue. So, Brother Itchy, he asked a question. I'm going to step off in a minute. So, yeah, I guess the question was, how does IoT, or what are the possibilities for IoT in this space?
Thank you. Just a quick introduction. My name's Ichi. I'm representing Tropical Nomad. I'm a co-founder here. And yeah, we are trying to build grounds up startup culture and the possibly a startup ecosystem that can really make a difference for the third world countries. So your question was about IoT. And first thing when I met Harold and then start talking about his project, I said that, wow, that's, I really applauded him. Because why? Because you're doing everything, the most hardest part of the technology advancement into rural areas all by yourself, by private sector. No government involvement. Usually what we know is Indonesia is that they will always get the telecom or XL or one of those large telecommunication company to actually take that responsibility. And then so they are, most of the private sectors aren't, they don't even dare to dream doing something like that because they know that Indonesia is a very large country. So many islands, not enough connectivity. I mean, even within Bali, there's so many places that it still doesn't have a signal from the 3G or 4G or let alone 5G. No, that doesn't even exist, right? So just imagine, even within Bali, the most of the rural community, they're not getting any internet connection. They have to go down to like a town center, maybe that's another couple of hours drive, and then they get the 3G connections, and then they can watch maybe perhaps YouTube, Speak on Monday, who knows? But it is the reality, and so I said that that's a really amazing that the private sector really trying to make a difference. So that's why I said that when this opportunity came up and he asked me to get involved, I said yes, thank you. That's dream come true. What can we do from the enabler for private sector, the small companies, startups to make a difference for community? Because we want to be conscious minded. It's not about profit in this case. This is about digital divide, right? This is about access of it's like a human rights to have a knowledge, have education, have access to medical. So this is the infrastructure that can actually make that happen, and that without getting even help from the government. So I thought that's a fantastic idea. So first thing I said was that, do you know that even in Bali, there's so many remote communities, they really have no access to the marketplace for their produce, for their agriculture produce. I know this man who has a relative. Okay, so this person is a Balinese man. He has a relative that migrated to another island, Sulawesi Island. So what they decided to do is that because in Sulawesi, if you go up in the mountains or in the remote areas, so they actually settle a city that not even the city, sorry, in the countryside, in the mountains, like 3 days away from the closest city, right? But then they were given, a land, and then they were able to farm, and they're farming those rose apples, jambu merah, right? Jambu air, sorry. So these kind of things, they take 3 days to bring the products back to a town where they can ship that to their customers. And of course, they don't have any customers. They have no way to know who will be their customers. All they know is that there will be some merchant will be willing to buy in bulk, but at a lower price, of course, because they will take care of the logistics, blah, blah, blah. So there comes the opportunity. If we can actually solve this digital divide, if we can actually provide and educate them how to use these tools to find a marketplace, a buyer for their fruits, and then if they can have a banking service where they can securely receive the payments, right, from these people, which could be residing in, say, Jakarta, Surabaya, or Bali, who knows where they are, right? But they do need the funding, and they need to receive the funding quickly so that they can continue to sustainably grow their production of their fruits. It's really time critical as well. So that's where I suggested, hey, maybe this is a great opportunity to really matchmake with a company who are in agritech. And then why don't we use this platform, also the platform, as an IoT hub, so that the companies that are trying to do agritech, they can actually see in real time what's actually happening to these remote communities, and then they can assist, say, guarantee, say, buying of their fruits, because they can monitor the progress of the growth of the fruits, for example. There's many ways that they can actually now use the satellite images with the very advanced sensors. They're able to actually measure a lot of conditions at the soil level. They can tell what is the nutrition of the soil, how much nitrates compounds available in the soil. They can see that what kind of air quality. They can see a lot of things from the sky, and that technology is available, but never been accessible to anybody, right? So now there is a way that we can actually connect and then find the solution for these communities. So I said that that's like a great example. We can take this to really do a major IoT project in such remote areas that the people have never had any opportunity to do so. So that's...
And I mean, part of this is, for those of you who know, and we will come to questions in a few minutes, part of this is about, so there's a bunch of us working on, so as I mentioned, as a tourism architect, I get to work across many different industries at high levels. And so one of the projects we're involved in, actually, Ichi and I, is called Silicon Bali. And Silicon Bali is about building a thriving ecosystem here in Bali. Not Silicon Valley, Silicon Bali, you heard it correctly. So there's a great book, I think it's Regional Advantage, 3 factors that need to be in close proximity for that to have the opportunity to occur. So one is availability of capital, one is availability of talent, and the other one is availability of projects that obviously employ those first 2. So then, one of the questions that I'd love to give to you, Harold, and then we'll get to the audience is, in that area of availability of talent, capital, and projects, thank you, where do you see Indonesia currently?
I need to say that's a very good question, and it's an interesting question, because Indonesia got so many talent. I spent 9 months in Java, for example, with my wife's family, in a really remote area in the kampung. There is so much talent available, but they don't have access to talent. And what do you think about, people in the rural areas? If you take, for example, like what Ichi just mentioned, is farmers who talented to grow quality products. If they have no access to the fair trade programs, there is so many talent in so many ways. I I think a good example is what we're getting involved with a yayasan called Bali Wise. That's a very good example. Currently, they have some young adults what they educate, especially women. It's a woman empowerment program. That's the next story, but we get them involved in with our company as well, as we like to start up a woman empowerment program. Of what they're currently doing is they have now a group of ladies from Sumbawa. They give them a 3 to 6 month course where they get graduated. They go back to their island and start working, in this case, the hospitality business. Fanny Evans is the lady who runs the program. She said there is so many hidden talent. And they pick them up from the islands, they educate them on Bali, they go back to the rural areas where they come from, and they start what they get educated. So beside their programs, what they're currently doing, in the near future we develop a training program where the young adults can be a woman entrepreneur. So that will be our potential distribution channel. So we make them entrepreneurs. Instead of paying them a salary, how harder they work, how more they sell, how more money they can make. They start from January about digital marketing, because they figured out that in the rural areas, and that can be any island, 50 million people without electricity, 90 million people, what I understand, without an ID or unbankable, unbanked. So, you know, there's so many hidden talent. There is such a huge opportunity, but where it all starts with a light in their life and have an internet connection.
And look, so I want to swing the next question, the same question to Rijck, then we will go to the audience. So by the way, in the audience, I know that some of you are thinking, yeah, but Elon Musk is bringing this SpaceX thing, so what's going to happen to this? It's one of the biggest questions that I get asked, which you will answer soon. But Rijck, not yet. So Rijck, we'll go to you to answer that question about, you know, those 3 elements that define, according to that book, you know, a thriving ecosystem of availability of talent, capital, and projects. And where do you think Indonesia currently stands? And then we'll go to the audience for some questions, and I'll ask that Elon Musk question afterwards.
Okay. So in terms of where Indonesia is in, say, the startup map, is that it is a very interesting situation, right? That this country actually have, you know, decacorns and lots of unicorns. I mean, these are just a phenomenon that's just completely, you know, very hard to understand. How is this economy where there is also a huge amount of population is still in the poverty, doesn't have access to, yes, electricity, you know, internet, some clean water, you know, what you call the wastewater systems, for example. There are many things that is lacking. But however, in the city of Jakarta, the capital of this island, it is a huge, humongous, you know, economy, driven by the young, you know, middle class, and also the aspiring middle class, and that is driving this economy to such a level that it is completely. You know, it's something that we cannot even understand. How could this actually be? Because there definitely is not reaching out to all the parts of this world, this country, right? In terms of a market, Indonesia is also one of the biggest domestic market for consumer spendings. You know, they have a huge amount of ability to support these startup companies, but it's all driven from Jakarta-centric mindset. So it is a lot to do with also the political influences, the funding availability through the venture capitals in the capital city, also the accessibility and connectivity to the other ecosystem. Such as Singapore, which is pretty nearby, and also the rest of the world. There are talents there. Now, so until today, that there is no alternative startup hub in Indonesia. It's just Jakarta, and that's it. Because that had the talents where all the graduates from all the major cities, and then graduating from the very prestigious universities, they just go to where the job is, where is the opportunity is. So of course, majority of them do go to Jakarta. So the talents are in the cities are limited. And now that we're seeing that, its capital is getting very saturated, and the next move for all the startup companies right now is to move to the regional cities. Now that's, yes, it will gradually move to all the cities in Java and then the elsewhere. However, as you know, in Indonesia, there's eastern islands that are significantly lacking of their support. First of all, education, programs, university access. All this are mainly, it's in the Java, right? The best universities, educations. And also Sumatra. Sumatra also have a very large city, Medan. And that's where all the investment has been done for education. However, how about eastern islands, including Bali, Lombok? It is still very much lacking. So it is essential that these are built up. And of course, government has the responsibility to do that. But as private sector, and also being a conscious community where we want to actually help and support and bring other skills, knowledge, and or even intellectual properties into the hands of young, talented, local people who will take that and adapt it to the local economy, we will be really excited to do that, because I think that's where we can be meaningful. And that's how we are trying to create the education to the people. I think one of the objective is to create an effective internship program in Bali with startup companies such as Solar to take the interns and then immediately start working with the international team of very wide diversity, so that their English will improve tremendously, business communication, entrepreneurship. They will understand what it takes, how much, it is a hard work, and it's a lot of grit, and it is a lot of visionary, things that they have to learn, and so that they can be the next leader, and they can take that to the next level, whatever their ambition and their passion will lead them to, right? So education is, I think, it's one of the cornerstone in building this ecosystem.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's such a great answer, really. So as you can see, you get itchy now too, I'm sure, to see his depth. And again, very clear, transparent person. That's why I love Itchy. Now, we have the third microphone, Sister Ayu. Yeah. So if anyone has a question, just raise your hand. Remember, I'm going to ask that Elon Musk question anytime soon. There you go, Brother Krishna. So if we just maybe go to the back and then work around to our Brother Krishna. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Krishna, so anyone here asking a question, attention it to someone. Okay, don't say, oh, this is for all of you. Then we'll be here for hours, right? So just say Itchy or Harold or Rob. My question is, yeah.
Right. This one is for Harold, of course. So if what I know.
The signal available. And that's the interesting part, as you know. Hey, you go around Bali as well. In some areas you have a network from Telkomsel, in some areas it's XL,
Right.
and this picks up automatically the strongest signal. So the product currently works in 140 countries. So it doesn't matter where you go, because the dongle is integrated in our battery pack. So it connects automatically without a SIM card.
And the second question, when is it already available in the market, or do we still have, is it still in the research and development? Because I actually have a land in the mountains, and I cannot get internet there because providers, it's too far away, it's too expensive.
But you need a GSM network.
GSM, yeah.
Overall, there is GSM network, but I say Indonesia is 99% covered by GSM network, but we experienced by ourselves as well. We went out to Karangasem, where there are very weak spots. We're going to do a pilot run in September, October in Indonesia, in Bali. More than happy to get you involved, Krishna. As you,
so the
you know the product,
so.
right?
Yeah.
We got some product currently in Indonesia. One is now tested by Sumba Sustainable Solutions. People climb up in the palm tree, get the best reception because the battery pack need to be in the house. But that will be the next step.
Right.
But overall, we know the coverage of GSM network, but it depends also on the provider. If you pick up the right signal, because I know that from experience, like for example, that's a nice one, I have Telkomsel. When I go to Java, Telkomsel works very, very bad in some areas, but also my data use goes 3 times as fast. So it means what we figured out, that Telkomsel is a different provider on Bali than it is on Java.
Right.
And we all know this country is so massive, so there are so many providers, and we pick just up the strongest signal.
Okay. I would be happy to test it out, the product, because if you think about for Indonesia, the time came when you had fixed telephone lines. You know, everybody had fixed telephone lines. And then technology went so fast that people just bought telephones, and now when you call a business, it's usually the handphone, because telephone lines take so long. And now the next step is being able to connect to the internet before the internet cables actually reach your place. So that's like, you're going, yeah.
Now we know all that the plan was from SpeakuP. There is a lot of thoughts behind what we are doing.
Right.
The plan of SpeakuP was to connect all his citizens to the internet.
Yeah.
But you know, you need to start to provide them with electricity, right? It's nice to give people a smartphone, what a lot of companies doing currently.
Right.
But how can I charge the phone if there is no electricity?
So when could I buy it on the market without being a tester, like just a random person as a gift? When do you think it could be in the market?
If the pilot program runs well, there's a lot of work. We know for sure it works. That's why we're testing the product for the last 2 years in Bali. Well, I didn't told you back in the days. I don't want to say it's a secret, but you need to be sure that the product works, right? So yeah, hopefully over the next few markets it will be available. But I think there is a big thing, especially in Indonesia. It's also CSR programs where we're going to focus on, because it's an education program. What we like to get involved as well. Yeah. There are so many different ways to go. And that is one of the parts why I like to work with guys as Itchy, as Robert. Well, we are in touch for probably 2 years as well, Krishna.
Yeah, with you.
Hopefully the product is still working in your place, by the way.
Still working.
Very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Here we're talking about, I think it's 1.5 year in Jiwa Garden.
Yeah.
That is what we like to hear. And that is the next step, and try to get the products as soon as possible to the market.
Right. I have one more question if no one has another question.
Go on, Christian. You got the microphone. We all know you're going to ask a question. Thank you for appearing to be polite, which I know you are polite. But ask your question, Krishna.
Right. So now actually there's a big momentum going for clean energy, right? Electricity. And now you start to see more electric motorbikes on the road. And that's how you're kind of marketing electric motorbikes, because people are driving it. You have also the phenomenon of solar lights, solar power on roofs. So people see that, it's like, oh, this is solar powered. Now for your kits, right, how do you, maybe you have thought about it, or how do you plan to market it? Because it's not as like a motorbike, it's not like a solar roof. Do you have any marketing strategy for that?
Now, marketing is the most complicated story in our company, because our potential customers, they don't have anything.
Right.
They still use kerosene lamps. And here we came up, that's why I brought up CSR programs. Indonesia, all the companies, they need to spend a part of the profit on CSR programs. So that can be a big part of our company, to provide them partly free or with subsidies. But the other one is what I just said, is we get Bali Wise involved to train women to be an entrepreneur. So what Bali Wise is going to do is they train the woman for hospitality and in the near future digital marketplaces as well. But then they offer also a training to get a woman entrepreneur. And they can even do that as a side business. You know, if they come from Sumba, Sumbawa, Flores, even Lombok. All of us know, for example, the numbers 900,000 people on Sumba, 700,000 without electricity. So if a woman get trained for the hospitality business, you know, they can have this as a side business as well and make some extra money. So that will be, because in our business, mouth-to-mouth commercial, that's why I'm happy to hear from you. You know, the product is still working fantastic, and that is the best marketing we can have.
Yeah.
Because if you know somebody who looks for a solar product, well, you send them to All Solar because you know the product is working, right? So mouth-to-mouth is still the biggest one.
Yeah.
And that's why we, you know, it's not our own idea, because my experience in Tanzania is with Solar Sister. I know them pretty well. Fatma is the country director, manager, who get a good friend over the years. They only work with the cash business. And here we come to the point because of the high interest rate. And that is also, it's very complicated to bring products to the market. But they started, I think if I'm correct, 2012. They currently have 5,000 women entrepreneurs working. So, you know, that is a proof of concept what exists. As a lot of people say, okay, woman empowerment, Indonesia, Muslim country. Well, look into Tanzania, Solar Sisters, also a Muslim country with 5,000 women entrepreneurs. And I think, like what we developed to provide them light, internet, and give them access to finance will be a way easier sell. Because the model what we thinking of is a rent-to-own model. So that people not keep paying, but they pay for 2.5 years, they own the product. Our product have a lifespan of approximately 4 to 5 years. So you give them 2 to 2.5 years free light in their house instead of spending 100,000 rupiah every month on kerosene.
Right. Yeah, the thing I asked about the marketing because if you know, Harold donated some lights on, like for example, on our parking lot we have some lights. Now I mentioned about the motorbike, the electric motorbike, the solar panels, is because that's very visual, right? For the past 2 years, you go to our parking lot, the light turns on, but no one thinks like, oh my God, solar light. They're just thinking like, oh, there's light for no reason. So it's a good thing that you mentioned about the marketing strategy for entrepreneur women, because that is actually maybe the best solution, considering how it's different to an electric motorbike, it's different to a electric powered house, for example.
Yeah, that's a complete different story. But like what you say, you know, road lights. Well, we all know Bali, right? And we're driving around in the small gangs, or I've been around a lot here in Tabanan. Got some government information there. They have 850 kilometers of road there, and only 150 kilometers of road have light. So how easy can be it? Well, you know the light. You hang it in a palm tree and it works.
Yeah, yeah.
So look, we're going to continue this on after, because I know Brother Krishna, my man, thank you for the question. Love you. Love the way you ask questions. Very intelligent guy. GY Gardens, everybody. If you haven't checked it out, you should. GYJIWA, GY Gardens. So now's the time. Anyone else got a question, please raise your hand. Yeah. So whilst that hand mysteriously finds its way up, Elon Musk, let's deal with it. People ask me, but listen, Elon Musk is building the SpaceX satellite technology. Like, isn't that going to supersede what all Solar World are doing? How would you answer that question?
Now, that's a pretty simple answer to that question, because how can people receive without any connection to electricity, and they need a receiver? So it's going to happen finally, but we think, you know, I'm in this business for 10, 11 years right now, a lot of experience. I get this question almost every day. But, you know, again, if you have no electricity, you cannot receive anything. And beside that, a receiver for satellite is super expensive. So we think, and that is the engineers, what we have around, it's going to take 5 to 10 years. It will happen on the end of the day, but that is not today. And we have the solution today.
And you're mentioning, there you go, a little round, because Brian hears that one a lot as well. I can tell, Brian. But you also mentioned that even if it does come in, it would also sync right into the tech.
yeah, you know, we can switch to it. We know a lot of companies who are working on the satellite technology. We are not really in touch on them, but we follow the technologies. And, you know, it's widely available. Hey, GPS, satellite, name it. So it is there. But it will take time. And again, let's start with the beginning. Let's start providing people with a light in their life and give them electricity, because this is what all solar light does. And the reason why we came up with the internet is to get people access to finance, and then, you know, it starts. But I always said, people ask me so many times, why you have only one product? Why we need more products? Right? We got worldwide, and this is numbers from Google. Google is the voice of the industry. We are a proud member of Google as well. They are only focused on some countries in Southeast Asia, but mainly in Africa. Africa, 900 million people without electricity. So why we need to have more products if we have one working?
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So, any other questions? Don't be shy. Yeah, so in a minute we will go to private questions. I love you, Krishna. It's like, listen, if I'm looking around, like, if no one else saw it, hey, listen, you still have the mic in your hand, man.
Let him talk.
Go, my brother, go.
It's okay. No, the reason this is actually so interesting is because last week I was actually asked to participate in what is called the CASE, Case for Something Sustainable Energy. And it's sponsored by GIZ, the German big company or something, I don't know. There was 4 speakers, and one speaker was a clean energy architect, and his office is here in Bali. There was a bank, an Indonesian bank that's open in Bali, that is providing credit for anybody who wants to buy any clean energy products. And it's called Abasadi Corporation, super local. And I'm just wondering if you know about that, because that would be very interesting for you to connect with.
Thank you very much for that information. No, we didn't know that. We're getting in touch, like what Robert mentioned before, with our embassy and with the Netherlands Business Support Office. Mm-hmm. I had a meeting with them in Surabaya 2 months ago. But again, we needed to have our local company up and running, because before we can get access to any of those local banks and local organizations. Yeah. I know there is even a bank who does impact finance, like what I mentioned before, the low interest, like 7 or 8%. And absolutely no, thanks. If you have more of those, please let us know.
Yeah,
very helpful.
They were offering credits, interest, very, very low interest, because it's sponsored by lots of national companies, international companies also. So that could be a great investment in a way. Also, before even your product is even launched, we could even connect.
That's super.
I'll give a little thing though. They're very hard to connect with. I was messaging them. They don't reply very fast, but still, it's very interesting.
Give them a call, Krishna.
I will.
Don't text them.
All right. So now, we are almost at the hour. So if there are no more questions, remember we have a private question and answer session about to begin. So what I'll do is I'll give Brother Itchy, Harold, an opportunity. Any like thoughts that you want to leave people with, and it could be something that you've said already, or something that just, I forgot about that. Please feel free in about a minute. So next week, we spoke before about Silicon Bali. So next week, as you know, once every month we have a health panel curated by Health Hub Bali, which if you haven't checked out Health Hub Bali yet, make sure you do, people. So Health Hub Bali, it is a very unique operation that's really fulfilling a huge need in a really powerful, positive way. And then once a month, we have like a Silicon Bali panel as well. So next week, I think it's next week, right? It will be Bali Crypto Week, which also you've got CoinFest Asia is part of that week as well. I think it's on the 25th, 26th. So next week will be, I'll introduce and then let them get on with it. It will be Melissa from S21. Now, S21 are the largest crypto community here in Bali. She's been on the show before, I think a month ago when we did another panel. Excellent person, very smart, very sharp, very driven, and very knowledgeable. So that's next week. Feel free to come. In person is always better, because then you get a chance to connect with people in real time. There you go, in reality, which is very powerful. And then what we've got coming up next week is that one. The week after, I'll let you know next week. In the meantime, I want to thank Tropical Nomad team. We've got Guzman, Ayu, and of course, Brother Itchy, who's sitting right next to us. So we're on to, this is 295, so 296. We're approaching episode 300 pretty soon. And remember, this is about, it's an extension, right? So it's about how do we connect, right? The brightest minds, the people of Indonesia, foreigners alike, on projects that unite, uplift, and support humanity in a powerful, positive way. That's what this has always been a really powerful tool for and will continue to be. But it's best that you come in person and experience it. So we're here, 6 o'clock pre-networking, 6:30 we go live every Monday here at Tropical Nomad for about an hour. And tonight we are on time. God dang! It's like 1 hour on the dot. Not yet. No claps yet. Not yet. We're going to hear from Itchy, and then we're going to hear from Harold, and then we're going to go to private questions after that and switch off the cameras.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Harold, for this opportunity as well. So I just wanted to say that, there's so many different communities right now forming in this island, and I think it's not by coincidence. And right now, it is a moment that the things around the world is changing quite rapidly, and that we're seeing that we all came to a part of this Asia and came to really experience Bali because we also feel there is something that we can do here. And I think that sense of positivity is really, really powerful. And also the level of people that's coming into this island is crazy. What I mean to say is that extremely high level, professional, have great networks, and have ability to execute. And I feel that this is really an opportunity for us to really take part and contribute and to build, work together with the young generations of people and we may be able to also, help them to say, to go to the places that they with themselves are not able to do. We can be a great partnership. There's many opportunities right now that whatever the background you come from, I think there are opportunities for social responsibility, social impact, and of course, startup culture is a very healthy entrepreneurial journey for a lot of young people who have visions, leadership. That's how they build their skills, and I think we should come together and encourage those people. Whether they come from Bali or from other islands, or maybe even from other countries. Bali is very tolerant, and is really amazing thing. We are actually quite lucky to be able to live here. I'm from Japan, and I'm not Indonesian, but they really take me as part of this community, and so I think this is my way of trying to motivate others also to join this movement, and then to give back to the community that is also blessing us. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, what can I say? I'm very thankful that I did this finally for the first time in my life, public speaking. Thanks to Robert. Thanks, brother. Thanks, Itzy.
Never in doubt. Never in doubt.
Yeah, what can I say? It is fantastic to be in Indonesia and to come back about the story like what Itzy said. It's an open country, very welcome. Very happy to live here. And it's a country with massive opportunities. If, with our knowledge, what we can do can improve lives together as a team. Teamwork is everything, right?
Absolutely.
And believe in yourself, be straightforward, and get things done. That's all. Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Izzy.
Round of applause, guys. Round of applause. And, all right. And before we go, All Solar World, that's the website, All Solar World, same thing on Instagram. And for those of you living here in Indonesia, remember that Wednesday coming is Independence Day, right? So the 17th of August, Independence Day. And for all the foreigners which are here, of which I am one, a foreign guest, even though Itchy and I, and all three of us, are all married to Indonesian women and have kids and all the rest of that, study about Indonesia, right? Study about independence, study about Pancasila, study about Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, study about Indonesia, right? Study about Bali, Trihita Karana, Takwamasi. These are all really powerful, important states of being and philosophies which will add a richness to your life that you won't believe. So, see you next week, guys. Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate it. All right. Private questions, people. We know you've got them. Where is the bintang? Private questions. Don't give the bintang yet, mate.